Hello everybody, Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero here. Just folding some laundry at the end of the day today, ahead of tomorrow, which is where this video is publishing. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather for today, which is Monday, but also we're going to talk a little bit about yesterday's weather. A quick look at that because there was some substantial severe weather out there. And I have a very interesting comparison of a potential tornado that I saw on radar. I don't know if there's anything confirmed. We'll take a look at to see if there's any storm reports. But let's head over to the computer right now and take a look at the storms from yesterday, maybe that tornado, and what the week ahead looks like. All right, so at the desk here, we're gonna first take a look at what happened yesterday with what I think was a potential tornado. So let's head over to the computer screen here. All right, so let's start right here at the radar that I captured at 3:32 p.m., specifically Pacific time. So adjust that where you need to. And here I have a quad panel of radar up. Super res correlation coefficient, velocity, reflectivity, and hydrometeor classification. So what I did in this process was I took my mouse and in the reflectivity, very clearly that's a hook echo. So I drew a little line that kind of followed right around the spine of the hook, right to the end, and I just drew the arrow there. Because usually right in the hook, that's kind of where you're going to see some tornadic action. And what this does with radar scope is as I'm drawing here, it'll overlay that same drawing on each of these panes. So the next one, usually after reflectivity, I would take a look at is velocity. So what's interesting here, you're going to see as this line's coming through, it almost looks like there's a protrusion there and a protrusion here. Now, if you follow these, what look like pixelated lines, that kind of goes down to here because the radar is actually to the southwest when you're looking at this image right over here. So all of these, it's to the bottom left. So it's not necessarily showing going away and to. Usually red's away and green is to, but, and also you can just see this is tornado warned right there. What you can see though is velocities in different directions. So this kind of looks like maybe a little bit of an inflow that's coming right around in here. And then as it's turning around through here, it's starting to go outflow here, potentially. Just because it's wrapping around right in here. So that's with the velocity. Now the next two, the correlation coefficient and the hydrometeor classification, these two can work together. So starting with the correlation coefficient, what this is showing basically is how uniform anything in the atmosphere is. Typically, with tornadoes, you would use the correlation coefficient to find debris balls. Basically, if there's a tornado on the ground and it's shooting debris up, the correlation coefficient can detect it because what it's measuring is how uniform or not uniform the atmosphere is. So right here, all of this darker red or purple, that's fairly uniform. So that could be just rain. And rain would be even. Same thing, you could look at snow or anything like that. You can look how even it is. But up here, we see these greens and blues in between the more purple or red around it. So that means in this area, it's very uneven, non-uniform. So that could be a couple of things. It could be a debris ball, but this is kind of big to be a giant debris ball, so I don't think it's that. What I think it is hail. So if you have hail with rain, that's varying sizes in the same image. So that's the non-uniform part. And that ties right into here, hydrometeor classification. That yellow, that is hail. So that's this box right over here saying hail. So that is a pretty big hail core right there. And that kind of lines up here saying there's something in here that's not uniform. And here saying hail. So that means hail, maybe varying diameters of hail mixed in with rain. So that could be what's going on there. So these 4 pictures tell me all of the ingredients are there for a tornado. And it may be right in here, maybe not true gate-to-gate shear, but there's definitely some shear going on in there. And you can clearly see it was tornado warned. So that's what was happening there. The next, I'm going to bring up the radar. So this is live radar. From your perspective, this is last night's radar. So there's nothing actually happening here. But there's Texas. This was kind of right here. Abilene. So this was south of Abilene. Kind of right here. And you can kind of see there's the diagonals of where the radar was. So this sheer trail right there is about the same spot. And when we zoom out, we'll just kind of take a mental picture of where that is. And now when we look at the storm reports, there's a lot of storm reports right here, but right up there, which might be a little bit more east, there's tornado reports. There's 2 tornado reports. Now, again, this is preliminary data, so it's not officially in the archive just yet, but there are 2 tornado reports that came in. I think this is just a little bit west of where we're seeing here. So if we're kind of right there. This might be somewhere in here, but close enough that we have tornado reports, and that means they could be confirmed at some point. I don't have that. These are just reports. I didn't see anything of confirmed tornadoes yet. Usually that's when survey teams get sent out to survey the damage, and that's when we would determine if there is a tornado. All right, so I thought that was just fairly interesting. Now it is time to take a look at the weather forecast for the week ahead. And we're going to kind of do a very similar coast through coast setup with this. I think in the West Coast, in the Bay Area that I'm in right now, we are transitioning from the wet season to the dry season. Even though there's no official wet or dry seasons, it kind of feels like that from what I've noticed over the past 6 months I've been in the San Francisco Bay Area. All right, so as of right now, there's nothing out there on the New York City area. And then when we go to San Francisco, the first thing you see on their page, warmer temperatures on the way with a moderate heat risk. Go down a little bit. There's a heat advisory in some of these areas a little bit more inland. Now, what's really fascinating here is San Francisco. There's such a microclimate situation there, where the difference between San Francisco Airport and San Jose Airport, from there to there, which is maybe about 40 minutes away from each other, big differences in climate. And we'll see some of that when we get to the temperatures. So heat is going to be coming a bit more inland on the West Coast. The other thing I want to just talk about briefly here from the Storm Prediction Center for today, this is going to be the severe thunderstorm threat with a marginal risk has pushed eastward into more of the eastern Gulf Coast or Gulf of Mexico area and Florida up through the East Coast. Now, specifically, they are saying there's this 2% chance of a tornado right in there. So very low, but non-zero. I honestly don't think there's going to be anything to come of that. But some things some places they're calling out: Jacksonville, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, North Charleston, South Carolina, Daytona Beach, Florida. So that's all right in there. I don't think that's going to be the big factor. Wind, more so, hail maybe, but just keep that in mind. In this area, there could be some stronger storms later in the day once the diurnal heating really starts kicking up into the afternoon. So that's from the Storm Prediction Center. And then we're going to go now to the satellite. Now, what I want to show you right now, because this is live satellite as of my recording, look how much moisture is still in the atmosphere over that severe weather happening in Texas. So this is low-level water vapor. Even if we go up through the atmosphere, there's mid-level and there's upper level. There is so much saturation over that area right now, and that's the fuel for the storms. I just wanted to show that real quick. But also, I'll just bring up the shortwave here. So on this, even though this is technically as of the recording last night, some things to note. As this area here makes its way east, that's what's going to trigger that marginal risk. But if you also notice, it's pretty empty on the western half of the country there. And just some low-level clouds right around the coastline regions of the Northeast. So let's get right to it with the forecast models and the good old tropical tidbits. So here, this is where we're seeing there's the storms. We're going to click on through here. That same system may stir up again a little bit of something down there. I don't think much is happening because, again, look, there's a high pressure right there, acting kind of like a shield, pushing all that away. But what's also interesting, and this is not just the GFS, as some of the other ones I'll show you coming up do this too. This system right here looks very disorganized, and then it becomes a little bit more intense, and then right there, it kind of blossoms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. This in motion almost looks like an Alberta Clipper. Kind of that same motion. Usually you think of Alberta Clippers in winter for snowstorms, but here it kind of has that same characteristics, and an Alberta Clipper doesn't necessarily mean snow. That's just the type of storm, meaning it's coming down from Canada and it's a quick mover, a clipper kind of system, which kind of looks like this, where starting out the week on the East Coast, or specifically the New York City area, maybe some lingering showers in the morning, but then a little gap later in the day. Tuesday, they're showing a little overnight Monday into Tuesday, a little shower, but then there's that high pressure. 1026 millibar high, so pretty good. And then that makes its way out, and that allows this next system to come in behind it. So I would say Monday looks pretty good. There could be some little lake effect showers, go off the Finger Lakes there. High comes in, so Tuesday is pretty good. Then on Wednesday starts out pretty good. And then after that, Wednesday night or Wednesday evening into the overnight hours into Thursday, rain comes in. And that system kind of stalls as it gets up near Maine. And then we got there's a little gap. So maybe, here we go, Saturday might be salvageable, but overnight Saturday into Sunday, then there might be a little bit more rain. Now, in the middle part of the country, once that makes its way out, and that's that clipper system, so that brings some rain kind of into Tornado Alley, although there's really nothing tornadic about it. High pressure in the middle keeps it clear through Wednesday and Thursday with just some showers there. But then we could see a little blossoming right here. This is 0Z Sunday, so that'd be Saturday evening. This could be something to watch because that is right in Tornado Alley. And then that's pretty much it until this little interesting thing, this little feature right there. And then a bit more, but that's going beyond my normal forecast. And then rewinding one last time for the West Coast. It's showing a low pressure right there, but I really don't think anything too much of it. In the next frame, it's gone. And then literally nothing happens for most of the area except Northern California. There's a little blue in there. Some of these higher elevation areas can see some snow still. Still like we're getting Tahoe snow reports through May in this area. So I never thought I would see snow reports going into May. But most of the West Coast is just dry and almost boring weather. But some people do like that, and it is kind of nice to just have calmness and sunny skies every so often. All right, so that I'm just going to show you the GFS because that was kind of the consensus of all the models. I'm just going to very quickly now show you some of the temperature data. So on the MOS data, this is for the Northeast region we're starting with. So we're seeing in Newark, it looks like Highs in the 64, 67, 69, 68. So it looks like 60s for most of the week until about 71 by Friday. Saturday, look at that. Saturday, Sunday, 81 and 81 for Newark. So warm up at the end of the week. Islip should be a little bit cooler. There we go, 64, 64. All right, so pretty stable where temperatures staying in the 60s until the low to mid 70s by the weekend. And then White Plains, a little bit more inland there. So that's where we're seeing 63, 64. So again, all in the low to mid 60s until the weekend where it gets 69 and 76. So a little warm up coming this coming weekend, it looks like. And then Albany, there we go. So same thing in the mid 60s there until the 70s and upper 70s for the weekend. So still that warm up there. In Boston, we are seeing 60s through the week until Saturday and Sunday. Not as warm, but in the low 70s. So still a warm up. And then the last one here I'll show you is going to be with San Francisco and San Jose. So here we're seeing, looks like 72, 70, 66, 68, 68. So nothing too much in San Francisco because the opposite effect, because we have cool, stabilizing northerly flow with the Pacific Ocean subtropical high. So that's where we're seeing temperatures pretty stable. So Climo says 68. So we should be around 68. And we're seeing 72, 70, 66, 68, 68. So we're pretty stable and right where we're supposed to be this week. A little warmer here, but now you're going to see the microclimates I was mentioning before. Now we go to San Jose, which is more inland. 81 tomorrow and 79 Tuesday. That's where that moderate heat risk comes in. More inland. Not specifically for San Jose, but the more inland you get, even just 40 miles away, there's quite a temperature difference. Like we're seeing there a 10-degree temperature difference across 40 miles. And it's not necessarily because of higher elevation, lower elevation. It's because of the proximity to the marine layer that is the Pacific Ocean northerly flow. So that's quite interesting, all these microclimates here. And I've also noticed that the meteorologists on the news, they get way more time than I ever got. I got a minute and a half at the most on a regular day, unless it was some stormy day, and then I got up to like 3 minutes. 3 minutes is like their normal. I'm jealous. All right, so that is going to be a wrap for this video. Also, now is the point I just realized you didn't see anything on my screen. So, oh well. I am not redoing that. Anyway, you got the gist of what I was saying still. So we're going to see, it looks like, some calmness from on the East Coast, specifically the Northeast. Calmness Monday. Oh, maybe some lingering showers overnight Monday to Tuesday looks good. Then Wednesday may see some later shower action. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday, some more rounds of rain with that what looks like Alberta Clipper system. Central part of the country, it looks like the tornado or severe thunderstorm risk, at least, from Texas has moved eastward to the eastern Gulf of Mexico states. So that tornado, 2% chance, a little tiny bit, was for just really Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much of forcing influences happening. So it's there, but it's non-zero. Then going to the West Coast, stable, just the whole week. Warmer on the inland side of the Bay Area tomorrow with the heat risk, but then by the Bay itself, cooler, pretty much exactly to climate standards. All right, so that's going to be a wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Again, I apologize. I just realized that I did not transition over to show you my screen. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. You don't necessarily need it right now, but always make sure you have a weather radio. This one's from bettersaferadio.com. If you want to get emergency communication radios for AM communication, GMRS, or just emergency radios that come pre-programmed from Mark at bettersaferadio.com. You can use my affiliate link below, and with that, you'll get the radio itself. No upcharge, no extra thing. I get a little kickback, so I appreciate that. All right, everybody, this is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next video.